Hi, this is Glenn Riker with Over the Hedgerow and MKE Greenworks, a design build garden construction company serving southeast Wisconsin and especially Ozaukee County. I just want to share some of the highlights of fall landscaping. Everybody thinks of landscaping in the spring when the tulips are pushing the daffodils and things are blooming. But the great thing about ornamental grasses is they come into their peak midsummer and on. And what we're looking at is this is a little blue stem. The sun's not out today, so it's not as bright and vibrant as it normally is. But this has got its green all summer. But it gets these delicate little seed heads, and then it gets this amber or purple color all fall. It's a great plant. We're here cutting down plants in the garden. It's that time of year, but noticed this the other day. This is a vernal witch hazel. What trees bloom in the fall? Well, this does. You can see the blooms are great. Cover all these yellow spider-like blooms. Getting a little bit closer here. You can see these colors. It's great. Like I said, what other trees or shrubs are blooming like this in the fall? This adds a lot of interest to the garden. And you can see we cut down most of this garden yesterday. We cut down a lot of the ornamental grasses. Black-eyed Susans we had cut down about a week ago. When we come over here, what we're going to do is we'll shoot a before picture. See what the grasses look like. A lot of people like to leave their grasses up all winter. From a cost standpoint, if you're having it done, it's more time consuming to clean these up in the spring because rodents, birds, errors, the wind starts breaking down there throughout your garden. It's a little more time consuming, so from a cost standpoint, it's more effective to prune them in the fall. From an appearance standpoint, no, I can take or leave them in the winter. They look great until they get a heavy wet snow on them and it breaks them down. And we're going to come down and we're going to cut all these feathered reeds down. And once we cut them down, I'll show you what they look like and what we do to clean them up. Alright, so we've cut down these little blue stems. You can see they're nice and solid inside. Some grasses you'll see die in the inside. We'll share that on some other pictures. Now we're doing some bigger panicums. And what we do is we use a strap. We use a strap that we use for carrying furniture and stuff, and we've learned to tie up these bigger grasses with it, and then we can cut it. Because back in the day, we used to use pruning shears to cut these down. And that was a real nuisance. But then steel makes this great product that you hear running right now. It's an articulated head shear. That end can articulate 180 degrees, and it's just 1, 2, 3. So sometimes Cheryl's back hurts a little bit bending over and cutting the grasses. You try to break it up a little bit, but this makes shearing it much faster and easier. Now on this little blue stem, you can see the color a little bit better. It's really vibrant, especially when the sun's shining on it. But before we cut this last one down, I wanted you to see what this little blue stem really looks like. One of the favorite grasses people use is featherweed. What's nice about it is it pushes these seed heads out, otherwise known as an inflorescence, early summer. So they look like this pretty much all summer. They're great plants. They get 4 to 5 feet tall. They're wispy. It adds a little dynamic movement to a garden if you don't have water in your garden. That's what's great about grasses. One of the challenges, though, it seems primarily featherweed. We don't see it in a lot of the other grasses we use. But featherweed are like hostas, where if you let them get big and old, what happens is they get hollow in the center. So what we do is we go in here by hand and we just pull all the dead stuff out of here. And we'll do this for a couple years until there's a really big hole in the center. Then you have a couple of options. Ornamental grasses do not, here in southeast Wisconsin, transplant well in the fall. They just don't seem to have enough time to get reestablished, and they pretty much die 11 times out of 10. They just don't work well. So what we do is in the spring, we can come in here with a spade, we can dig this grass up and make it into 2 or 3 other grasses and move it around. Or, once again, it depends on economics, sometimes it's actually less costly to get another 1 gallon plant, and actually we auger a hole right in the center of this, put the 1 gallon plant right inside, and then that plant starts to grow. So if you're looking at labor costs, if you're having it done by someone, sometimes it's 6 one, half dozen other. By the time you dig this up, divide into 3, replant it in other places, that's great if you're expanding planting beds. But if you just want to keep it in the same place, it's a lot less costly to have a contractor come in, just auger a hole in the center, put another 1 gallon in there. But that's what's great about grass is you can transplant these. So we'll keep pruning this, and we'll show you a couple of other grasses. And this is what the final project looks like in this small section of the garden. Is we've cut these grasses down, and we got them cut all the way down to the north property line on here. And all the grasses we plant are called clump forming grasses. Just like they say, they grow in a clump. It's not an invasive type grass up here. The seeds don't get started, so it's not, grasses are not invasive. We don't plant the stoloniferous type grasses that send out runners and it will take over a whole planting bed. Those can be pretty obnoxious, but in certain areas they can hold an embankment along a river or something. Certain type of grass might work. So this is Glenn Riker with Over the Hedgerow and MKE Greenworks, a landscape construction company serving Ozaukee County in southeast Wisconsin.